Hey guys, this is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com, and I'm here with our DraftKings NBA video for Wednesday, March 30th. It's one of the last big days we have during the regular season for NBA DFS. There's a couple big tournaments tonight, including the $1 million champion $44 buy-in on DraftKings. They have I think like a $300,000 or $400,000 $44 buy-in tournament, and then a $4 buy-in tournament at the bottom that's also paying out like $300,000 or so. So quite a few places where we can go and make some big money tonight. What we do here in the targets video is we try to look through the slate and figure out who some of the guys are that are in the best spots and are going to be some of the biggest targets that a lot of our fellow DFS players are going to be going after, and which of those guys we like the best of the guys that are going to be pretty highly owned. So let's talk about three of the guys who are standing out to us today as quality plays, and you'll notice there's a little bit of a rookie flavor to today's top targets. The three guys we're going to talk about are Karl-Anthony Towns at Kristaps Porzingis and Dwight Powell at only 3,400. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns has been really good lately. Plays in a 2-12 total matchup versus the LA Clippers, and the matchup's not as tough for him as some people think. DeAndre Jordan has, a lot of accolade player, but he's a very good off-the-ball defensive player. He's somebody that rebounds. He's somebody who comes over and blocks shots. But one-on-one, guys have been able to score on him this year. It's kind of a neutral to positive matchup for the offensive player, as opposed to something that we want to be scared of and kind of stay away from. Now, Towns, like I said, he's been really good lately. He's returned 5.1x or better in 6 of his last 7 games. He has 9 straight games where he doubled, and he's gone for 50 fantasy points in 4 of his last 6. So at 8,400, he'd be giving us upside if he's able to get back there, as he's done in 2/3 of his recent games. Now, we do expect there to be some points scored here against the Clippers. And remember, the thing we like about Karl-Anthony Towns, he'll get us those 10 or 12 rebounds. So that's going to give us a nice floor of, 13, 14 points right there. They run him off screens for the ball in the high post. They give him the ball on the wing. They on the low post, and he's a young athletic guy that can run the floor. So there's a lot of different ways that he could wind up getting shots and getting the ball in this offense. And as we said, he's been producing with it. 4 of his last 6 games, 50 or better fantasy points, giving you a floor of like 40. So he's pretty safe. He's not going to kill you, and he definitely does have some upside. I like him a lot on DraftKings because the price at 8,400 I think is very friendly. On some of the other sites, his price is a little more expensive to the point where you really got to stop and think about whether or not you want to use him. But on DraftKings, I've been rolling him out there a lot lately, and he's been giving me some good returns. Not going to complain about the the money that he's made me over the last 2 weeks or so. So I'm still willing to keep rolling with Towns here today. Next guy I want to talk about is Kristaps Porzingis. 201 total versus Dallas Mavericks is not really a high total, but Dallas's interior defense is pretty weak. And on top of being weak, they're pretty banged up. Parsons out, so that opens minutes up at the small forward spot. Zaza Pachulia is banged up and barely playing if he plays at all, so that opens up minutes at the center spot. So we've seen guys like David Lee and Dwight Powell and Salam Mejri, getting big minutes right now, filling in for all these guys with all the holes that they have in their lineup. The last guy we're going to talk about here is going to be Dwight Powell at 3,400. He's favored in a 201 total game versus the New York Knicks. Dallas's front line is pretty banged up, and the Knicks have been pretty soft versus big men this year. Now, Powell had some good games early. Now he's getting back into the rotation. In his last over 23 minutes and 24 fantasy points. Like a lot, but for a guy that's only 3,400, you're basically talking about a 7 or 8x value, and I think that he could have a good one here today. Now, Porzingis has been giving you about a 40-point return, so he's somebody that's been giving you 6x value as well. If you use the 2 of those guys together for under $10,000, you got 2 guys that should be able to return 65 to 70 fantasy points for you here and give you 6.5 to 7x times value on their, price tags for the day. So I think that this is kind of a little bit of a sneaky game where there are some good fantasy options that we can look at, even though a lot of people are going to be shying away from it because the total in it is only 201 that we're looking at today. Those are some of the main guys that we're trying to get onto our rosters. We think are going to be pretty highly owned when you go into it tonight. All 3 of these guys have been putting up good numbers lately. They all have good projections for today, and they're all pretty fairly priced for what we expect to get out of them. So we will have a lot of exposure to Karl-Anthony Towns, Kristaps Powell in our rosters, unless some crazy news happens between now and lineup lock, which you guys know at this point in the NBA season is a very high likelihood and a pretty good possibility. Make sure you get over to the RotoCurve chat, because whenever this crazy stuff, either myself or Josh or Ricky are usually over there to kind of answer some questions and point you guys in the right direction. You know, if this guy's out, we prefer this guy. If that guy's playing and he's now in play, is he more in play than a guy like Dwight Powell, or would you rather use him over a guy like Porzingis? You know, those are the questions that not only us, but a lot of our users are in there answering. So make sure you get over to rotocurve.com. It's free to sign up for an account, get you into our exclusive chat, and, you know, hopefully we'll be able to help you guys make some money. So thank you for joining us here at rotocurve.com. And as always, stay classy here.